Hey guys, Josh Sternberg coming at you from sunny Southern California. In this video, I want to talk to you about Chapter 13s. Some people struggle with income at Chapter 13s. They look at, how do I make this work? It's your job and your attorney's job to make your Chapter 13 income work for you. And what do I mean by that? What you have to remember in a Chapter 13 bankruptcy is you're usually there for one of three reasons. Reason number one is you have too many assets to file a Chapter 7 and you want to avoid losing those assets or being liquidated by a Chapter 7 trustee. Number two, there's a specific debt that you want to have the opportunity to pay back, also known as a reorganization. So you might owe $100,000 to the IRS. The IRS is garnishing your wages and you don't want that to happen. So you file a Chapter 13 bankruptcy so you can pay back that $100,000 over Chapter 13 bankruptcy plan, i.e. reorganization. Very common in Chapter 13s are paying back your mortgage arrears, probably most common. A reason people file Chapter 13 is to pay back their mortgage arrears. That's because they owe their banks or their mortgage companies too much money. They can't reinstate the loan. They don't have the money to reinstate the loan. So they use the Chapter 13 to pay that back. $60,000 over a 60-month plan is $1,000 a month. So if you can afford that $1,000 a month. And the third most common reason people are filing Chapter 13 bankruptcies are forced to file 13 compared to 7 is because their income is too high. So when you're looking at your income, you also have to look at what's the reason you're in a Chapter 13. If the reason you're in a Chapter 13 is because you want to pay back mortgage arrears or IRS arrears, protect your equity, etc., you have to make sure that your income is to a point where you can cover your monthly minimum expenses, food, gasoline, mortgage payment, etc. And then you have to have enough money left over to cover that payment. So the disposable income, which is you take your income, subtract your allowable expenses, what's left over is your disposable. You want that to be as equal to what you have to pay back. If it's above what you have to pay back, they're going to ask for additional money to pay your unsecured creditors, i.e. credit cards. If it's below the minimum what you have to pay back, you could find yourself in a position where your Chapter 13 case is considered infeasible and you don't get to be in Chapter 13. They can dismiss your case for infeasibility, in which case you're back to facing foreclosure, IRS garnishments, wage garnishments or levies, things of that nature. How do we manicure or make our income work for us? So understanding the different categories of income. The most common categories are W-2 wage earners, self-employed, or what I'm going to call sort of miscellaneous income. Miscellaneous income is, gig economy, rental income, contributions from family, friends, etc. So the first thing you have to understand is with W-2 income, there's really not much you can do in terms of manicuring because your W-2 pay advices or pay stubs are simply going to state what you're earning. Depending on how you're paid, if you're paid commissions, overtime, and things like that, you can start to look at it. I worked a lot of overtime in the beginning of the year. I'm not working as much overtime at the end of the year. You can start to manicure that. Self-employment income, in my opinion, you can definitely make it work for you. The amount of money you bring in, you can't really adjust because you have to be honest. But if you are self-employed, you can play with your expenses. So if you're trying to make, let's say, less money on paper, you could increase your advertising spend. You can buy some inventory. You can hire a new employee. That will then bring down your self-employment income. So self-employment income is workable from the expense side. And then if you're trying to make or show additional income, we love using miscellaneous income. Rental income, you can rent rooms. Self-employment income, we call gig economy. You can drive Uber. We have one client who's a dog walker, babysitter, things of that nature to supplement your income. And then also contribution income. Mom and dad are helping me, grandma's helping me, my brother and sister are helping me. And by understanding, first of all, the reason you're in bankruptcy, and then secondly, the types of incomes available and then the type of income you have, you can start to make your income work for you in a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. Okay? Be careful, it's complex. If you change one thing on one side, it affects another thing on the other side. So you should always consult with an attorney. If you're in California, feel free to call us. I'm Josh Sternberg from Sternberg Law Group. Thank you.